remembrance of Seagull. Up drove the hearse Cadillac. A crowd of people gathered round, all dressed in black. And as they removed his body from the car, such pain she never knew has filled her heart. Why, oh why, I heard his mother cry. But oh Lord, it was the beginning of her end. Justice for CJ. In a mother's love, you will find everything's all right. To a mother's love, you are bound. You can rest on sacred ground. You are free to dream, because she sees what you can be. Did you know that mental health is a family affair? It's a family affair. It's a family affair. It's a family affair. It's a family affair. Well, one child grows up to be somebody that just loves to learn, and another child grows up to be somebody you just love to burn. Mama loves the both of them. You see, it's in the blood. Both kids are good to mom. Blood's thicker than the mud. It's a family affair. It's a family affair. It's a family affair. Oh, a family affair. It's a family affair. It's a family affair. Nobody wants to blow. Nobody wants to be left out. You can't leave because your heart is there. But you can't stay because you've been somewhere else. You can't cry because you look broke down. But you're crying anyway because you're all broke down. It's a family affair. It's a family affair. It's a family affair. Well, it's a family affair. Hey, hey. I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. Everybody's searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone to fulfill my needs. A lonely place to be. So I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity. Because the greatest love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me. The greatest love of all is easy to achieve. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all. Greetings and welcome to the Tiger's Den. This is the voice of Cheryl, and I am Toothless Tiger. I just want to say welcome, Madria, Phyllis. I saw Crystal, Longhead. Good to see you. Asatar. Hello, everybody. It's been a whirlwind week, and we found out a lot of different stuff. We know what's been going on in the sector for the past, 6 months or so, and all of the name calling and the special videos, and we're going to oust you and show you who you are and all of this good stuff. We've seen all of that, and that's okay. For those who need to be a part of that, hopefully it gives them some type of solace. I don't know. But I am a victim of actually child molestation, and I'm a survivor. And I did a lot of work to get to where I am today. 64 years of life. Beautiful, I might add. And I've had some good days and some bad days. But through it all, I am that I am. And when I came to YouTube, I was inspired to get on here and help uplift fallen humanity. Tell my story, share my wisdom, my knowledge, in hopes that it would inspire someone else to dare to dream and to work very hard to fulfill that dream. Didn't know what YouTube was all about, but I do know that I wanted to be a part of it. And I'm glad that I'm here. I really hate all of the darkness that is here, but when we look at the world, that is a part of life. And when I think about all of the videos and the jokes that were made about myself and others, and the Chris Hansen faces and the little catchy videos to catch a predator and all of this good stuff that has come up over the last 6 months or so, I find that that's mainly look like content because it seems nobody really cares. And I always am reminded, like my brother told me, these people are here to make money. And if that's not what you're here to do, then you're probably in the wrong place. Well, I want to make money and I make money. I don't make a lot of money, but I'm satisfied. And maybe that's the problem, being satisfied. I'm not willing to do, say, or propagandize anything. I'm just me. I don't come with the crowd. I don't follow the crowd, and especially if the crowd is going in the wrong way. I don't care about the big fat bullies that say anything about me and make fun and think it's cute and then make their whole show about me every week. I'm going to take that as the highest level of respect. But what I'm going to do is stay on my mission and do what I came here to do. We've called people all of these dastardly names with no proof, and everybody runs with it. And here we discover a gentleman, a human, with real life proof of 3 offenses in 2 different states, one with the registry, and we still have people excusing the behavior and bargaining it away. And that's a bit much for me. So I was going to spend a little time dissecting that, but I think we've had enough. For me, I have. And I'm just going to stick to my program because that's why I came here. So whomever is with me, I appreciate you. We show 8 people in the chat and 7 likes. So I would love for anybody that did not hit the like button to please, if you would, hit the like button. One of the things about being on YouTube, we do want you to hit the like button, and we'd like for you to share our videos and to comment and engage and have questions. Please feel free to ask them. And you have thoughts, please share them. It's very helpful when we engage one another. Asatar said, and I don't know if you all know, but they had hurricane watch, and the hurricane has come. I don't know if the eye is there, but the hurricane has come. And in the midst of the hurricane, they had another natural disaster, which was a pretty bad earthquake. And when I say pretty bad, I'm talking about in the number. It was up pretty high, I believe Asatar told me. But he did call to let me know that he was okay, as I asked him to do. And I'm looking here, and he's saying that it's been knocked out for the last 2 hours. Hope everyone is doing well. Back to sleep I go. The hurricane has me catching up on sleep. Hope everyone is having a great Sunday. And so we are, Asatar. As you all know, I've had a head cold, and that's why I'm not on camera. Plus, I'm going to go back to our book. I'm going to just stay on my mission, and we're going to just go with that. That's why I'm here. Hopefully, you have pen, paper, take some notes, add to the conversation. I don't know how much I'll read today because I do still have a cough and my voice is going in and out. But I came to do what, we like to do. And that's to learn something different and learn something that we can share with somebody that hopefully will help someone have a breakthrough in their own lives. Because we all have baggage. And some baggage, or I should say, some items that we carry around, we don't even realize that those are not our items that we put in our luggage. We're just dragging around things that possibly could be worked through and let go of. And this book that I've been reading from, Toxic Parents, is an excellent book. And it doesn't say that your parent was toxic. It's just letting you know that there are such things. And she's giving you examples of people that she's actually worked with. And so maybe you can hear something in their stories. And if you can relate to it, maybe you can learn from it. And that's what I'm about. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And Phyllis said it's hard for people out here without spending time bringing others down. It really is. But a lot of people, when they're out for money, they don't see it as bringing people down. They see it as entertainment, and they're just doing their job to entertain. Um, that could be true to some degree, but I beg to differ. Number 5 is the chapter that we're on, and this chapter says the bruises are all on the inside, and that's the verbal abuser. So we're talking about the verbal abuser parent. But it says, reach out and touch someone and help someone if you can. Remember the old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me? It's not true. Insulting names, degrading comments, and belittling criticism can give children extremely negative messages about themselves, messages that can have dramatic effects on their future well-being. As one caller to my radio show put it, if I had to choose between physical and verbal abuse, I'd take a beating anytime. You can see the marks, so at least people feel sorry for you. With the verbal stuff, it just makes you crazy. The wounds are invisible. Nobody cares. Real bruises heal a hell of a lot faster than insults. Billy said number 5, what's inside will come out. Words hurt. It can make or break a person. Back to the book. As a society, we have traditionally considered the discipline of children a private matter to be handled within the family, usually at the father's discretion. Today, many civic authorities have come to recognize the need for new procedures to deal with widespread physical and sexual child abuse. But even the most concerned authorities can do nothing for the verbally abused child. He is all alone. This section, the power of cruel words. Most parents will occasionally say something derogatory to their children. That is not necessarily verbal abuse, but it is abusive to launch frequent verbal attacks on a child's appearance, intelligence, competence, or value as a human being. Like controlling parents, verbal abuse have two distinct styles. There are those who attack directly, openly, viciously, degrading their children. They may call their children stupid, worthless, or ugly. They may say that they wish their child had never been born. They are oblivious to their child's feelings and to the long-term effects of their constant assaults on their child's developing self-image. Other verbal abusers are more indirect, assailing the child with a constant barrage of teasing, sarcasm, insulting nicknames, and subtle put-downs. These parents often hide their abuse behind the facade of humor. They make little jokes like, the last time I saw a nose that big was on Mount Rushmore. Or, that's a good looking jacket for a clown. Or, you must have been homesick the day they passed out brains. If the child or any other family member complains, the abuser invariably accuses him or her of lacking a sense of humor. She knows I'm only kidding. He'll say, as if the victim of the abuse were a co-conspirator. Phil, 48, had the outward appearance of a confident man. He was a tall, rugged-looking dentist with a taste for stylish clothes. But when he spoke, His voice was so quiet that I had trouble hearing him. I had to ask him several times to repeat himself. He explained that he was seeking help for his painful shyness. Phyllis says, choose your words carefully. I just can't go on this way. I'm practically 50 and I'm super sensitive to almost everything that anybody says to me. I can't take anything at face value. I always think someone is making fun of me. I think my wife's making fun of me. I think my patients make fun of me. I lie awake at night thinking about what people said to me during the day. And I keep reading bad things into everything. Sometimes I think I'm going crazy. Phil talked openly about his current life, but he closed up when I asked him about his early years. With some gentle probing, he told me that what he remembered most vividly about his childhood was his father's constant teasing. The jokes were always at Phil's expense, and he often felt humiliated. When the rest of the family laughed, he felt all the more isolated. It was bad enough being teased, but sometimes he really scared me when he'd say things like, this boy can't be a son of ours. Look at that face. I'll bet they switch babies on us in the hospital. Why don't we take him back and swap him for the right one? I was only 6, and I really thought I was going to get dropped off at the hospital one day. One day, I finally said to him, Dad, why are you always picking on me? He said, I'm not picking on you. I'm just joking around. Can't you see that? Feel like any young child couldn't distinguish the truth from a joke, a threat from a tease. Positive humor is one of our most valuable tools for strengthening family bonds. But humor that belittles can be extremely damaging within the family. Children take sarcasm and humorous exaggeration at face value. They are not worldly enough to understand that a parent is joking when he says something like, we're going to have to send you to preschool in China. Instead, the child may have nightmares about being abandoned in some frightening, distant land. We have all been guilty of making jokes at someone else's expense. Most of the time, such jokes can be relatively harmless, but as in other forms of toxic parenting, it is the frequency, the cruelty, and the source of these jokes that make them abusive. Children believe and internalize what their parents say about them. It is sadistic and destructive for a parent to make repetitive jokes at the expense of a vulnerable child. Bill was constantly being humiliated and picked on. When he made an attempt to confront his father's behavior, he was accused of being inadequate because he couldn't take a joke. Bill had nowhere to go with all these feelings. As Phil described his feelings, I could see that he was still embarrassed, as if he believed that his complaints were silly. I reassured him by saying, I understand how humiliating your father's jokes were. They hurt you terribly, yet no one took your pain seriously. But we're here to get to the bottom of your pain, not to discount it. You're safe here, Phil. No one's going to put you down. He took a few moments to let this sink in. He was on the verge of tears, but he made an enormous effort to hide them as he said, I hate him. He was such a coward. I mean, I was just a little kid. He didn't even have to pick on me that way. He still makes jokes at my expense. He never misses a chance. If I let my guard down for 1 second, I get zapped. And then he comes off looking like the good guy. God, I hate that. When Phil first came in for treatment, He made absolutely no connection between his hypersensitivity and his father's taunting. As a little boy, Bill was unprotected because his father's behavior was never recognized as abuse. Bill was in a typical lose lose situation. My dad's joke hurt me, and I am weak because I can't take it. Little Phil was the butt of his father's jokes and struggled to hide his feelings of inadequacy. Adult Phil was no different, but he moved in a much larger world. So he transferred his fears and negative expectations to other people. Phil went through life with his nerves end exposed, expecting to be hurt, to be humiliated. His hypersensitivity, his shyness, and his distrust of others was an inevitable but ineffective way of attempting to protect himself against further hurt. Hey, Lazy Bone, good to see you. Another section of the book. I'm only saying this for your own good. Many parents dish out their verbal abuse under the guise of guidance. To justify cruel and denigrating remarks, they use rationalizations such as, I'm trying to help you become a better person, or it's a tough world and we're teaching you to take it. Because this abuse wears the protective mask of education, it is especially difficult for the adult child to acknowledge its destructiveness. Vicky was 34 when she came in for therapy. She was an attractive woman who worked as an account manager in a large marketing corporation. But her self-confidence was so low that it threatened her professional advancement. I've been working for this big company for 6 years, and I've done pretty well. I've been slowly moving up, from secretary to office manager to account manager, moving through the ranks. But last week, the most incredible thing just happened. My boss told me he thought I could really go places with the MBA, and he offered to pay for me to get one. I couldn't believe it. You'd think I'd be thrilled, but all I can feel is panic. I haven't been in school in 10 years. I don't know if I can do it, and I don't know if I'm up to an MBA anyway. Even people close to me say that I'm getting in over my head. I remarked that whoever was giving her that assessment wasn't much of a friend, because real friends are supportive. This embarrassed her. I asked her why she seemed uneasy. She replied that by people close to me, she was referring to her mother. When I called my mother to ask her if she thought I ought to do it, she brought up some very good points. What happens to my job if I don't make it? And had I thought about the fact that with the MBA, I'm going to scare away a lot of eligible men. And besides, I am happy with what I'm doing. The one reason you're happy is that you're proud that you worked your way up, I said. Don't you want to keep going? She agreed that she did. I suggested that the advances she'd made at work and the opportunity her boss had offered her was testaments to her work. The evidence didn't seem to jive with her mother's doubts. I asked if her mother had always been so negative about Vicky's abilities. My mom always wanted me to be the perfect little lady. She wanted me to be graceful and elegant and to speak well. When I'd blow it, she'd try to shame me into doing it right. She meant well, she really did. She'd intimidate me if I mispronounced a word. She'd make fun of how I looked. Ballet recitals were the worst. My mom had dreams of being a dancer herself, but she got married instead. So I guess I was supposed to live out her dream for her, but I never danced as well as she could. At least that's what she always told me. I'll never forget one recital when I was about 12. I thought I'd done pretty well, but my mom came backstage and said in front of the whole class, "You danced like a hippo." I just wanted to sink through the floor. When I saw all the way home, she told me I should learn to take a little criticism because that's the only way I was going to learn. Then she patted my arm, and I thought she was going to say something nice. But you know what she said? "Let's face it, dear, you don't do anything very well, do you?" You know, it's really sad. We really don't know what made people the way they are today. And this may not have happened to any one of us, but we've seen this and heard this from people. I mean, we say we have to allow people to rear their children the way they parent because we don't want to get involved. It's little things like that that starts the wheel of dysfunction to rolling. And as we know, the wheel turns and it continues to turn until it stops. And if we don't acknowledge that behavior or see that behavior, that's how some of us come to be the personalities that we meet when we get older. That's how some children come to be bullies or introverts, loners, nerds, overworkers, overachievers, overthinkers, or vice versa, underworkers, underachievers. We really don't understand the power of words. But it is written the power of life and death are in the tongue. And we love to sing the saying as we started off with the chapter. "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me." Words will break you way greater and far longer than any stick or stone if they don't kill you. The next section. Be a success, but I know you'll fail. Becky's mother seemed to have been strongly invested in making her young daughter feel inadequate. She did so through a series of confusing double messages. On one hand, she urged her daughter to excel, while on the other hand, she told her how terrible she was. Vicky always felt off balance, never sure whether she was doing anything right. When she thought she'd done well, her mother deflated her. When she thought she'd done poorly, her mother told her she couldn't do anything better. At a time when Vicky should have been building self-confidence, her mother was knocking it down, all in the name of making Vicky a better person. But what was the abusive parent really doing? Vicky's mother was fighting her own feelings of inadequacy. Her own dance career was thwarted, perhaps by marriage, but perhaps she used marriage as an excuse because she didn't have the confidence to pursue a career. By establishing her superiority over her daughter, Vicky's mother could deny her feelings of inadequacy. Any occasion became fair game, even if it involved humiliating her daughter in front of her peers. It is particularly scarring for a budding adolescent to be embarrassed in this way, but the toxic parent's needs always comes first. Now we have the competitive parent. The need to make someone feel inadequate in order to feel adequate oneself rapidly evolves into out and out competition. Clearly, Vicky's mother came to see her young daughter as a threat because as Vicky grew older and became more beautiful, more mature, and more competent, her mother had more trouble feeling superior. She had to keep up the pressure, keep on demeaning her daughter to defend against this threat. Healthy parents experience their children's growing competence with excitement and joy. Competitive parents, on the other hand, often feel deprived, anxious, even scarred. Most competitive parents are not aware of the reasons for these feelings, but they know that the child stirs them up. During adolescence, little girls start to become women and little boys start to become men. The child's adolescence is an especially threatening time for the insecure parent. Women feel frightened that they're growing old and losing their beauty. They may see their daughter as competitors and feel the need to belittle them, especially in front of their husbands. Men may feel a threat to their virility and power. There's room for only one man in the house, so they use ridicule and humiliation to keep their sons feeling little and helpless. Many adolescents exacerbate the situation by being openly competitive as a means of testing the waters of adulthood. Competitive parents have often been victims of deprivation in their own childhoods, whether from shortages of food, clothing, or love. No matter how much they have, they still feel in fear of not having enough. Many of these parents reenact with their children the competition they experienced with their own parents or siblings. This unfair competition puts enormous pressure on a child. Vicky simply gave up trying to accomplish anything. For so many years, I didn't do a lot of things, even things I really liked, because I was afraid of being humiliated. After I grew up, I kept hearing her voice, just putting me down. She didn't swear at me. She never called me a dirty names. She never called me dirty names. But the way she was always comparing herself to me, she made me feel like such a loser. It hurt so bad. Despite what competitive parents may claim to want for their children, their hidden agenda is to ensure that their children can't outdo them. The unconscious messages are powerful. You cannot be more successful than I am. You cannot be more attractive than I am. Or you cannot be happier than I am. In other words, we all have our limits, and I am yours. Because these messages are so deeply entrenched, if the adult children of competitive parents do manage to excel in something, they often experience tremendous guilt. The more they succeed, the more miserable they become. This often leads them to sabotage their success. For these adult children of toxic parents, underachievement is the price of peace of mind. They control their guilt by unconsciously limiting themselves so they don't outperform their parents. In a sense, they fulfill their parents' negative prophecies, branded by insults. Some verbally abusive parents don't bother to hide behind rationalizations. Instead, they bombard their children with cruel insults, denunciations, and derogatory names. These parents are extraordinarily insensitive to both the pain they are inflicting and the lasting damage they are doing. Such blatant verbal abuse can sear into a child's self worth like a cattle brand, leaving deep psychological scars. Carol, 52, is an extremely beautiful model turned interior designer. In our first session, she told me about her last divorce, her third. The divorce had become final about a year before Carol came to see me. It had been a painful experience, and Carol was left feeling frightened about her future. At the same time, she was going through menopause and seemed on the verge of panic over losing her looks. She felt undesirable. She told me that these fears had been intensified by a recent Thanksgiving visit with her parents. It always ends up the same way. Every time I see my parents, I get hurt and disappointed all over again. The hardest thing is that I keep thinking maybe if I come home this time and tell them that I am unhappy, that something's gone wrong in my life, maybe just this one time they'll say, "Gee, honey, we're really sorry," instead of, "It's your own fault." As long as I can remember, it's always been, "It's your own fault." I told Carol that it sounded as if her parents were still excusing tremendous power, still exercising tremendous power over her. I asked her if she was willing to explore the roots of that power with me so that we could begin to change the patterns of dominance and control. Carol nodded and began to tell me about her childhood in a wealthy Midwestern family. Her father was a prominent physician, and her mother was an Olympic level swimmer who retired from competitive athletics to raise her 5 children. Carol was the eldest. I remember feeling sad and lonely a lot of the time when I was little. My father always teased me, but when I was around 11, he started saying really horrible things. Like what? I asked. She told me it didn't matter. She started biting her cuticles nervously. I knew she was trying to protect an emotional nerve. "Carol," I said, "I can see how painful this is for you, but we have to get this stuff out in the air where we can deal with it." She started slowly. For some reason, my father decided, God, this is hard. He decided I smelled bad. He just never let up. I mean, other people used to tell me how pretty I was, but all he could ever say was, Carol stopped again and looked away. "Come on, Carol," I said. "I'm on your side." He used to say, "Your breasts smell bad. Your back stinks. If people only knew how filthy and smelly your body is, they'd be disgusted." Honest to God, I shower 3 times a day. I change clothes all the time. I use tons of deodorant and perfume, but it wouldn't make any difference. One of his favorites was, if someone turns you inside out, they see stink come out every pore in your body. Remember, this is coming from a respected physician. And my mother never said a word. She never even told me it wasn't true. I kept wondering how I could be better, how I could keep him from telling me how awful and smelly I was. When I went to the bathroom, I always thought if I could flush the toilet faster, maybe he wouldn't think I was so awful. I told Kara that it sounded as if her father had reacted irrationally to her questioning womanhood because he couldn't deal with his preoccupation with it. It is very common for fathers to react to their daughters' blossoming sexuality with discomfort and often hostility. Even a father who is kind and loving when his daughter is small may create conflict during her adolescence in order to distance himself from sexual attractions he finds unacceptable. To a toxic father like Carol's, a daughter's sexual development can trigger extreme feelings of anxiety, which, in his mind, justify his persecution of her. By projecting his guilt and discomfort onto her, he could deny any responsibility for his feelings. It is as if he were saying, "You are a bad and a wicked person because you make me feel bad and wicked things for you." I asked Carol whether any of this rang true for her. Now that I think about it, it was a sexual thing. I always felt his eyes on me, and he was always budging, bugging me for details about what I was doing with my boyfriends, which was practically nothing. But he was convinced I was going to bed with everyone I went out with. He said things like, "Just tell me the truth and I won't punish you." He really wanted to hear me talk about sex. During the emotional maelstrom of adolescence, Carol desperately needed a loving and supportive father to give her confidence. Instead, he subjected her to relentless denigration. Her father's verbal abuse combined with her mother's passivity severely damaged Carol's ability to believe in herself as a valuable and lovable person. When people told her how pretty she was, all she could think about was whether they could smell her. No amount of external validation could compete with her father's devastating messages. Greetings, Sister T. I started modeling when I was 17, of course. The more successful I was, the worse my father got. I really had to get out of that house. So I got married at 19 to the first guy who asked me, a real dog. He hit me when I was pregnant, and he left when the baby was born. Naturally, I blamed myself. I figured I must have done something wrong. Maybe I smelled bad. I didn't know. About a year later, I married a guy who didn't beat me, but he hardly ever talked to me. I stuck that one out of, let me see, I stuck that one out for 10 years because I couldn't face my parents with another failed marriage. But I finally left him. Thank God I had my modeling, so I was able to support my son and myself. I even swore off men for a few years. Then I met Glenn. I thought men I thought this was it. I'd somehow found the perfect guy. The first 5 years of our marriage was the happiest time of my life. Then I found out he'd been cheating on me almost from the day we got married. I did a lot of forgiving over the next 10 years because I just didn't want to lose another marriage. Last year, he left me for a woman half my age. Why can't I do anything right? I reminded Carol that she had done a lot right. She'd been a loving and available mother. She raised a son who was doing well in his own life. She had 2 successful careers, but none of my assurances carried much weight. Carol had internalized her father's image of herself as a worthless, repulsive human being. As a result, most of her adult life was propelled by a self-defeating quest for the love she had craved from her father as a young girl. She chose cruel, abusive, or distant men like her father and tried to get them to love her the way her father never had. Greetings, M Soul, Boss Cap. I'm sorry I didn't see you guys. I explained to Carol that by asking her father or the men she chose to replace him to make her feel okay about herself, she was putting her self esteem in their hands. It didn't take a genius to see how destructive those hands had been. She had to take back control of her self esteem by confronting the self defeating beliefs that her father had planted in her childhood. Over the next few months, she gradually came to realize that her self esteem was not lost. She was just looking for it in the wrong place. Perfectionist parent. The impossible expectation that children be perfect is another common trigger for severe verbal attacks. Many verbally abusive parents are themselves high achievers, but all too often their homes become dumping grounds for career stress. Alcoholic parents may also make impossible demands on their children, then use their children's failure to justify drinking. Perfectionist parents seem to operate under the illusion that if they can just get their children to be perfect, they will be a perfect family. They put the burden of stability on the child to avoid facing the fact that they, as parents, cannot provide it. The child fails and becomes the scapegoat for family problems. Once again, the child is saddled with the blame. Children need to make mistakes and discover that it's not the end of the world. That's how they gain the confidence to try new things in life. Toxic parents impose unobtainable goals, impossible expectations, and ever-changing rules on their children. They expect their children to respond with a degree of maturity that can come only from life experiences that are inaccessible to a child. Children are not miniature adults, but toxic parents expect them to act as if they are. Paul, 33, a dark-haired, blue-eyed lab technician, came to me because of troubles at work. He was noticeably shy, self-conscious, and unsure of himself, but still he managed repeatedly to get into heated arguments with his immediate superiors. This, along with increasing concentration problems, was jeopardizing his job. As Paul and I talked about his work, I could see that he had difficulties in dealing with authority figures. I asked him about his parents and discovered that Paul, like Carol, had been branded by insults, as he described. I was 9 when my mother remarried. The guy must have studied with Hitler. The first thing he did when he moved in was lay down the law. Democracy stopped at the front door. If he told us to jump off a cliff, we had to jump. No questions. I got it a lot worse than my sister did. He was on my case all the time, mostly about my room. He would do this inspection every day, like it was some kind of army barracks. When you're 9 or 10, things are always a little messy, but he didn't care. Everything had to be perfect. Nothing could be out of place. If I left a book on the desk, he'd start screaming about how I was a disgusting pig. He called me little asshole or little son of a witch or snot-nosed bastard. It was like his favorite sport to keep pounding me with those lousy names. He never hit me, but he goddamn names hurt just as bad. I had a hunch that there was something about Paul that had stirred up strong feelings in his stepfather. It didn't take long to figure it out. Paul had been shy, sensitive, withdrawn child, small for his age. When my stepfather was young, He was the smallest kid in the school. Everybody picked on him. By the time my mother met him, he was husky because he'd gotten into working out. You could tell he put it all on, though. Somehow, all that muscle always looked like it ought to be on somebody else. Somewhere inside Paul's stepfather, a small, frightened, inadequate boy was still alive. And since Paul had so many similar characteristics, he became a symbol of his stepfather's own painful childhood. Because his stepfather had never accepted himself as a child, he felt immediate rage at the young boy who reminded him of himself. He used Paul as a scapegoat for the inadequacies he couldn't face in himself. By tyrannizing Paul with impossible demands for perfection, and then verbally abusing him when the boy fell short, his stepfather could convince himself that he was powerful and strong. The damage he was doing to Paul probably never even crossed his mind. He thought he was helping the boy to be perfect. I can't be perfect, so I might as well give up. Paul's mother divorced her second husband when Paul was 18, but by that time, Paul's spirit was already seriously battered. Paul knew he could never be perfect enough for his stepfather, so he just gave up. When I was 14, I got into drugs real bad. It was about the only time I ever felt accepted. I wasn't going to make it as a jock, and I sure wasn't the life of the party. So what else was there? Just before I graduated high school, I bought some really bad shit and nearly OD'd. Well, that did it for me. No way was I ever going to go through that again. Paul attended a junior college for a year, but quit despite being a yearning and aptitude for a career as a scientist. He just couldn't concentrate. His IQ was extremely high, but he would buckle in the face of a challenge. He'd gotten into the habit of giving up. When he entered the job market, he found himself falling into antagonistic patterns with his bosses, again replaying his childhood. He went from job to job until he finally found one he liked. Then he came to me to try to keep it. I told him I thought I could help him. The 3 P's of perfectionism. Even though Paul's stepfather was out of his life, he still maintained a stronghold over Paul because the demeaning messages continued to play in Paul's head. As a result, Paul stayed entangled in what I call the 3 P's: perfectionism, procrastination, and paralysis. I really like this new lab where I'm working, but I'm always terrified that I'm not going to do a perfect job. So I put off a lot of what I have to do until way after many deadlines, or I'll rush them through at the last minute and screw up. The more I screw up, the more I keep expecting to get fired. Anytime my supervisor makes a comment, I take it personally and overreact. I'm always expecting that the world is going to come to an end because I've screwed up. Lately, I've gotten so far behind that I've been calling in sick. I just can't face it. Paul's stepfather had implanted in Paul the need to be perfect, perfectionism. Paul's fear of failing to do things perfectly led him to postpone doing things, procrastination. But the more Paul put things off, the more they overwhelmed him, and his snowballing fears eventually prevented him from doing anything at all, paralysis. I helped people think through a strategy to approach I helped Paul think through a strategy to approach his employers openly, tell them he was having personal problems that were interfering with his work, and asked for a leave of absence. They were impressed by his honesty and his concern for the quality of his work, and they granted him 2 months. That wasn't enough time for Paul to explore all of his problems, but it was long enough for us to get him out of the hole he dug for himself. By the time he returned to his job, he had been able to take the first steps toward facing what his stepfather had done to him, which made him better able to differentiate between real conflicts with his superiors and conflicts arising from his internal wounds. Even though he was to remain in therapy for another 8 months, everyone at work told him that he seemed like a new man. I'm going to stop for 1 second, y'all, and take me a cough break and drink me some water. Give me one moment. You know, sometimes in a relationship, be it male or female, we tend to not want to let go. No matter what's going on in our relationship, we just want to hold on. Sometimes we find ourselves singing this song. And I am telling you, I'm not going. You're the best man I'll ever know. There's no way I can ever go. No, 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 no way. No, 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 no way I'm living without you. I'm not living without you. I don't want to be free. I'm staying, and you're gonna love me. Ooh, 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 love me. You're gonna love me. And I am telling you, I'm not going, even though the rough times are showing. There's just no way, there's no way. We're part of the same place. We're part of the same time. We both share the same blood. We both have the same mind. And time we've had so much to share. No, 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 no. I'm not waking up tomorrow morning, and finding that there's nobody there. Darling, there's no way. No, 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 no way. I'm living without you. I'm not living without you. You see, there's just no way. There's no way. Tear down the mountains, yell, scream, and shout. Like you can say what you want to. I'm not walking out. Stop all the rivers, push, strike, and kill. I'm not going to leave you. There's no way I will. And I am telling you, I'm not going. You're the best man I'll ever know. There's no way I can ever ever go. No, 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 no way. No, 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 no way. I'm living without you. I'm not living without you. Not living without you. I don't want to be free. I'm staying. And you, you're gonna love me. You're gonna love me. Yes, you are. Ooh, ooh, love me. Ooh, 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 love me. Love me. Love me. Love me. You're gonna love me. Alrighty then, I'm back. I'm at the last 2 pages. The S word. Adult children of perfectionist parents have usually taken one of 2 paths. They've either driven themselves relentlessly to win parental love and approval, or they've rebelled to the point where they develop a fear of success. There are those who behave as if someone is always keeping score. The house can never be clean. They can never experience pleasure in an accomplishment because they're convinced that they could have done it better. They feel genuine panic if they make the slightest mistake. Then there are those who, like Paul, live a life of failure because they cannot deal with the S word, success. To Paul, being successful would have meant capitulating to his father's demands. Paul probably would have continued to fail at job after job if we had not silenced his stepfather's voice within him. The cruelest words, I wish you'd never been born. One of the most extreme examples of the havoc created by verbal abuse was Jason, 42, a handsome police officer in one of my hospital groups several years ago. The Los Angeles Police Department had insisted that he be hospitalized because the police psychologist had concluded that Jason was a suicide risk. At the hospital's staff conference, I learned that Jason was consistently putting himself into unnecessary life-threatening situations. For example, he had recently tried to make a drug bust by himself without calling for the appropriate backup. He came very close to being killed. On the surface, this appeared to be an heroic act, but it was actually reckless, irresponsible behavior. The word was out in the department. Jason was trying to kill himself in the line of duty. It took several group sessions for me to gain Jason's confidence, but once I did, we established a good working relationship. I still recall vividly the session in which he told about his bizarre relationship with his mother. My dad skipped out when I was 2 years old because my mother was impossible to live with. She got even worse after he left. She had this really violent temper, and she never let up on me, especially since I happened to be the spitting image of my old man. I don't remember a day when she didn't tell me she wished I'd never been born. On a good day, she'd say, "You look just like your goddamn father, and you're just as rotten." On her bad days, she'd say stuff like, "I wish you were dead, just like I wish your father was dead, rotting in some shallow grave." I told Jason that his mother sounded crazy. I thought so too. But who's going to listen to a kid? One of our neighbors knew about it. She tried to get me into foster home because she was convinced my mother was going to kill me, but nobody listened to her either. He paused for a moment and shook his head. Jesus, I didn't think this crap bothered me anymore, but my insides turn to ice every time I remember how much she hated me. Jason's mother had sent him a clear message. She did not want him. When his father left and made no attempt to be a part of his son's life, he reinforced the point. Jason's existence was worthless. Through his actions on the police force, Jason was unconsciously trying to be a dutiful, obedient son. In essence, Jason was trying to wipe out his existence, to commit suicide indirectly in order to please his mother. He knew exactly what it would take to please her, because she told him very explicitly, "I wish you were dead." In addition to inflicting enormous hurt and bewilderment, this form of verbal abuse can become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Jason's suicidal tendencies are relatively common among the children of such parents. But these adult children, facing and dealing with their toxic connections to the past, can literally be a matter of life or death. When you are becomes I am. While there is no question that children can be damaged by put-downs from friends, teachers, siblings, and other family members, children are the most vulnerable to their parents. After all, parents are the center of a young child's universe. And if your all-knowing parents think bad things about you, they must be true. If mother is always saying, "You're stupid," then you're stupid. If father is always saying, "You're worthless," then you are. A child has no perspective from which to cast doubt on these assessments. When you take these negative opinions out of the other people's mouths and put them into your unconscious, you are internalizing them. Internalization of negative opinions change you are to I am, forms the foundation of low self-esteem. Besides significantly impairing your senses of yourself as a lovable, valuable, competent person, verbal abuse can create self-fulfilling negative expectations about how you will get along in the world. In the second part of this book, I'll show you how to defeat those crippling expectations by making the internal external again. And that is the end of chapter 5. I'm sure Maria has already done this, but I don't see it, so I'm just going to do it myself. Of course, we know the terrible person that would put something like that in someone's chat. We know exactly who that is. And we don't give a damn about that person. So they can continue to play their little games. It is unfortunate that people are so caught up in themselves. But if you've been following me and reading this book and hearing about toxic parents, we can see how some of these people behave in the manner in which they behave. A lot of these people have a lot of self-hatred. They have not been taught how to process internally or externally anything positive, because they don't have a lot of positive to draw from. Yeah, Maria, I thought I thought you would have. I know you own it like nobody else. So I appreciate that, Maria. But if we start reading again, for real though, and start reading things of this nature, we don't have to accept anybody's behavior. We don't have to accept anybody. But since we are social beings, we can understand and comprehend how people get in this herd mentality and follow anything. And that's because they don't have any substance for themselves. And when you don't have substance and you don't know who you are, then you tend to follow the leader. No matter if the leader is leading you off the cliff, you just want to belong. So you'll skippity doo right on with them. And unfortunately, you're so behind in the pack that you didn't notice that the leader didn't go off the cliff. He just led you there. The leader made a sharp left or a sharp right. And the ones that's right behind them are the ones that's tumbling over the cliff. It is unfortunate, all of the darkness that's going on in this sector of YouTube, the entertainment sector. But we can't let these people, the perverted ones, the darkness, run us away. We're needed here. What we bring, the humor, the knowledge, the caring, because as we can see, a lot of these people don't have compassion. They don't possess it. And we didn't come here thinking that we were going to find what we found. We didn't think we were going to be targets. We didn't think that a whole group of people would turn on one individual like they did when you were in elementary school. You know, if you're like me, you came here with an idea and you decided you wanted to share it with the world. You knew who you were and you thought you had something to offer. And believe it or not, we do. And the good thing about it is these people see that. They don't have anything to offer. They're full of scams, perversion, and making people feel like they feel. That's the problem. But we've been, I would say, blessed is the word that I use, enough to have people that we don't know from all over the United States and the world heard our voice. And they liked what they heard. They liked us as a person. Like I said, I'm not on camera now because of my sickness and my coughing and stuff. But we get on here and we show our faces. We show our smiles with or without our teeth. You know, I try to share videos now that I know that that's what we should be doing. I really didn't know what the community wall was for. It was a long time before I even knew to post my videos that was going to be coming. I didn't even know how to do it. Because like I said, it's so little that you know when you come here and you just kind of follow the leader. You kind of just do what other people do. And so you don't know the inside out of YouTube unless you actually go and read. And that's one thing that I didn't do when I came to YouTube. I didn't take it like I needed to, find out the instructions on how it works and stuff like that. I thought you just come on, hit your button, either video or go live and just talk to the people. And then you learn that, there are community guidelines and things of that nature. But one thing that I did come to know is that I came here with a purpose. That's what I came here for. And I believe each and every one of us, when we decided to make our own page, we had an idea of some sort of what we wanted to give to the people. Maybe some didn't. Certainly by the way they act. It seemed like some just wanted to ride on someone else's coattail. And they thought that if they could just get this person to say their name, that they would be hot, hot, hot. That only lasts so long. After a while, whoever you would think that's in your chat would want to know you as a person. But when I read this book, Toxic Parents, and when I read the topics that we've already covered, the 5 chapters that we covered so far, when I read The Godlike Parent, just because you didn't mean it doesn't mean it didn't hurt. When I read Why Can't They Let Me Live My Own Life, and no one in the family is an alcoholic. When I read the bruises are all on the inside, then I kind of get an idea of how and why these people do what they do and act like they act. Just like I started before I get ready to end this session, and like I said, I wasn't talking about what was going on much because I am a survivor of incest and molestation, and it's very, very devastating and disturbing to me that these people would label me a predator, Sister T's husband, Uncle Suge, and Ears to the Streets. They would label us this, and I mean, everybody is running with it, making video after video after video. And then here we find a young man who's actually a predator, who actually has paperwork. You know, one of these people, they call him Skinny Mister, said, you know, if it ain't no paperwork, it didn't happen. Now everybody don't even want to look at the paperwork. And if they look at the paperwork, oh, the paperwork is a lie. Okay, well, we're just going to wait till he straighten out the paperwork, and then we're going to make our decision. God, to be more careful. We got to be more careful. There's no way, excuse me, that I believe people, adults, people with children, they actually have daughters and sons, are making these type of statements as if the act itself makes no difference. It don't mean nothing. You know, we could be looking at a real, as I stated in the beginning, everybody was making these movies, these thumbnails to catch a predator. Chris Hansen. Here you got a real live Chris Hansen story. Here is a predator for real, who keeps confusing 3 different stories. And everybody wants to act like they don't hear this man mixing up stories. I heard the other day he was being interviewed and he was asked about a stop, and it involved some substances and then a confession. And at the age of 16, he remembered everything but the confession. He doesn't know what they was talking about. I thought, you know, that is so many years ago. Boy, how convenient. These people use the same words. And then I noticed as I was in Sister T's today, the person that I believe everything leads back to, which is Kwame Brown, comes in Sister T's chat. Stalking, harassing. When we're talking about a subject that's so real and so proven, we're not guessing. And then they want to change the penal code of another state. Sometimes it's very hard for me to speak on other people's panels because I am a very verbose person. I'm a very detailed person, and I read a lot. And reading is fundamental. And as long as we can comprehend what we read, we're on the same level as anybody with scholarship, if you're reading and interpreting the same way. And one thing is, no one, and especially if they're an attorney and hold a license to the bar, are going to speak to you about any other state's laws because they don't practice there. And it's written. All we got to do is use these computers that we love to play games on. We love to type in chats on. We love to do whatever you do with your phone. You can ask them a question. Every state is a country. They don't teach us that, but it is. And the reason it is the constitution of that state. And every constitution of that state set forth the statutes for that state. That is your civil code of procedure and your criminal code of procedure. And then they have the rules of evidence. All of those are set by your state constitution. And they call us the United States, and we have a federal constitution that unites us. And so pretty much wherever you are in your civil procedure or in your penal code, pretty much you can match whatever it is for your state to the federal code. They did that for a reason. We don't give legal advice. We're not attorneys, nor are we pretending to be. People laugh, but we all were given the right. It's called unalienable right to present yourself before any tribunal. And since you don't do that every day, they're not even expecting for you to know the decorum of the courtroom. It's only one thing that they expect you to know if you're going to present your case, and that is the law. That's the only thing that they're going to ask you to know. And if you don't know it, then whatever happens, it is your undoing. Because it is incumbent upon you as a citizen, as an American, as an adult, to learn what governs you. A lot of us talk a good game. I ain't trying to be nothing but me. But if you don't know the rules that people play by, I guarantee you, you can't participate in that game. And if you do, then you can consider yourself a casualty of war. You see, one thing I learned when I started learning who we were before we were called slaves is in a courtroom, 9 times out of 10 doesn't always make this true, but I need to say it. 2 things are not going to ever enter the courtroom, and that's the truth and the law. They're going to be talking about law. But see, most of us don't even get interested in what's happening to us, so we won't start researching how it might supposed to be, or the laws that governs whatever it is we're going through. But I promise you it's there. But when you get in that room, you're going to be thinking everybody's on your side, and they're not. They're on the side of the bar. And when it's 2 different attorneys, one of them are going to win and one of them are going to lose. Just start reading the civil procedure and see how much, and the rules of evidence, and see how much they got to tell each other before they ever make it to the courtroom. Your case is pretty much already decided before you get into the courtroom, unless you choose a jury. And we all, the Constitution, give us the right to choose a jury. And it is always, always in your best interest, in my opinion, not legal advice. It is always best when the opportunity is there to choose a jury. Because in a criminal case, it's 12. All you need is 1 in most states to have reasonable doubt. Because in most states, all criminal cases must have a unanimous decision. And if it's not unanimous, meaning everybody don't feel the same way, then that case can't go forward. In all civil cases, no matter what state you're in, it is held by the standard of the preponderance of the evidence. And people laughed and laughed and laughed when they heard impeach the witness. But nobody heard the judge laugh. So it should have let them know that that was something that was real. Because you can't impeach a witness. See, everything is not political. They didn't teach us politics, so we really don't know politics. We just know the little that we know. But impeaching a witness is really just questioning the credibility of the individual. So they swore under oath this thing. And now I got an opportunity to get them and ask them the question on what they said that day. And if they don't say the exact same thing, you just impeach that witness because their credibility now is shot. That's why they do depositions. That's why they do interrogatories. They get you to swear to those things. You have to do those in writing. And they get you to swear to those things. And then if you make it to trial, they bring those things up. And if what you said then don't match that then, now, yeah, you just became unbelievable. And those people that's sitting over there, the jurors that's judging you, they don't know the law no more than you do and the people that don't know it. But they get instructions and they tell them what to go by. You know, it's just like that lady in the Trayvon Martin case. You know, see, being a juror is one of the most important jobs in the world. That is the only place where you really get to make the decision, not based on nobody else's opinion. You get the instructions, and then whatever you believe it to be, that's what it is. But a lot of people let in the jury room get in there and let people talk them into changing their minds, and then say once they come out, oh, I didn't understand that. I didn't understand. I could have stood my ground. Why come you didn't? The judge explained it to you. Because that lady said that was her problem. See, nobody can make you change your mind. My cousin was privileged to sit on a jury once. They never picked me for a jury. I mean, never. I tried and tried and tried. And then after, they started having a lot of these drug cases, then I didn't want to be picked for a jury because that's when they was kind of kidding people and stuff, So I didn't want to be on none of those trials. But I used to really want to be, do my civic duty. And most of us run from our civic duty. That's one of the most important jobs in your life. If you're ever chosen to sit on a jury, because it's your decision. But I was telling you all the story about my cousin, and she got chosen. And this person, it was a couple, little old bitty lady and a big old man, and these people were European. And what ended up happening was she got a knife, and she went to stab him, but instead she came up dead. So now you're supposed to listen to the testimony, not formulate your own opinion. That's why they tell you can't look at the newspaper. You can't discuss this with any of the jurors. You cannot discuss this with anyone in your family, which we know all humans is going to discuss it with somebody. So, that's just a human thing. But following the rules, you can't discuss this. And you just have to come from what you've heard, all of the notes. They have the transcript there for you. And then you all make the decision based on the laws that they give you and whatever the judge give you as instructions, what you can go by and what you can't. So my cousin say they was in there and they was fighting and they was fighting and they was fighting because it was about, I say 3 people wanting to let the man, not guilty. And then the other 9 were saying guilty. And they keep arguing and arguing and arguing because, they're some people want to go home. So some people end up losing their lives or going to prison for the rest of their lives because they got tired of deliberating. It's all kind of things that goes on in the jury room. And I haven't sat in there, so I'm only telling you from what I've seen and what I've heard people that have been there. This is not my experience. But I can tell a story, so shit, you swear I was the one in there negotiating for the man. But I wasn't. I wasn't the one. But anywho, my cousin watched two people switch their vote to guilty. And the reason being, this lady was little and petite. This man was big and, brawly. That had nothing to do with her getting the knife wanting to kill him. He just happened to kill her. And my cousin wouldn't budge. Before they could send the judge the note that they had a hung jury because she wasn't wavering, the man decided to take a plea deal. He got scared. And they was like on day 4 or 5. You see, the quicker they come back, you can almost believe that person's going to be guilty as hell. The longer that it takes for them to come back, you can best believe the prosecutor is very nervous. Because 9 times out of 10, they finna lose their case. Normally. It's just from what I've seen. And they came back. And the judge dismissed the jury. But before they left, they asked them a question. And it was about, had they come to a conclusion? And they said, yes, they had. One person wouldn't vote guilty, so they would have been offering a hung jury. But he didn't know that. So he was so afraid. And that's the way it is. That's why it's good to look up the codes, because it'll tell you the time period that's coming with whatever the charge is. This stuff ain't rocket science. It's just something that we don't read because we've never been taught to read it. We never thought we had an interest in it. Hey, Shantastic, Catchy, Boss Cap. I don't know who else I missed. I want to say hey because I was reading, but I want to M-Soul. I think I already acknowledged y'all. I know I acknowledged Sister T. Sister T, thank you for my compliment on my song. So, a lot of us, when we're talking out of our emotions. We're asking questions out of our emotions. We're not really even asking the right questions. We just think we are. And we may be some of the greatest scholars in America. We might hold every alphabet behind your last name. But one thing that I've learned, and I learned this just in my public jobs that I've had. You see, I never worked for Child Protective Services, but I worked for the Department of Human Services. So where Child Protective Services are either trying to keep the family together or save the child by removing the child, I worked for the department so that we feed the child and house the child and give the parent money. So I was the one who gave them food stamps and Medicaid, and AFDC is what we used to call it, aid for families of dependent children. I worked on that end, so we see it all in public service. But we talk out of our emotions. And when I worked for the state, that's when I learned, believe it or not, that you only learn your job. So I did food stamps, AFDC, and Medicaid. And that's for families of children. But if you were a senior citizen and needed Medicaid, I couldn't tell you nothing about that program because that's a whole nother department. That's the elderly, aged, and disabled. So somebody else knows that. So what I'm saying is they teach us things on a need-to-know basis. That's why most people specialize in things. The only way you're going to get a general anything is if you go to a general practitioner. But most doctors, most attorneys, they are experts, subject matter experts in their field. You go to an attorney that do everything, you might be in trouble. And then what we need to understand is the great thing about law school and what makes these people so great and make them different from us. Law school teaches them how to research. It teaches them how to interpret. But we have the same mental capacity and we can do the same thing. We can even learn how to research. But that's what law school does for them. Those people don't know no more about trying no case than you do when they first start. You know, practice make perfect, right? So they get better and better with time. And they don't have to know all of this stuff. That's why they have paralegals. And paralegals cannot work for themselves. Lawfully, they can only work for an attorney. Now, you get to paralegals saying they're working for themselves, it's a problem. It's just a lot we don't know. They don't teach us. And we think if somebody says something to us, then we think they're insulting our intelligence. No, they might not just want to help you be greater because they already think you're great. You see, I'm a person who see greatness in people. But people read me all wrong and they be having me all messed up. You know, I'm not a put downer. I'm a builder upper. And I can do that because I feel I'm so cold blooded. And I want you to be just as great. And if you don't see it in you, I want you to know I see it in you. When my son is going through something, I tell him, and this is with every fiber of my being, don't you worry about that. You do what you do. Because when you can't believe in you, sure I'll believe in you. And I got you. No matter what. And we work like that, my son and I. I don't talk to him every day. I don't see him every day. But he all I got. And I'm all he got. At least he got a girlfriend. I had 2 failed ass marriages. But it is what it is. I'm just saying people don't really understand how they talk to us and disrespect us. Myself, Sister T, even the Reggie woman, how they disrespect us and our experience in life. These people have no regard. None. And so when I read this Toxic Parents to everybody, this is why some of these people can talk to us and say the things that they say to us. And the people cash app and cash app and cash app and super chat so their name can be on the screen of them disrespecting you. This is why they do it. And then you get on a panel and talk to people and you think y'all have formulated a hell of a relationship. You think y'all all on one accord. And hell, they hating you. You don't even know the people don't like you. You never had a bad word with them, so you thinking everything is cool as a fan. But they can't not whenever they mention your name. Oh, I don't like her. Oh, I don't mess with her. But she did tell the truth on that one. Hell, I am the truth. I'm the truth. The hell you mean she told the truth on that one? You don't even know me. And I believe if people knew who I was, boy, they would really hate the way they treat me. But that's on them. Because I am who I say I am. And I'm not going to ever stop being who I am. But nobody. Nowhere in this land. My mama and my daddy were solid. My daddy was one of those niggas that, you know, they talk about in the streets. He was that nigga. He told us about that person. He showed us. My mama was the foundation. Others are. My daddy was the kind of guy, he'd go to the store, you get a brand new car. Let me test your car out. Okay, you give him the keys. It's on a Friday. You thinking he just gonna, you know, go somewhere and come back. That nigga come back Sunday. Talking about he went down to Louisiana, down home. What? You ain't even had your car all day. You ain't had it 24 hours. He was that one. But also the very first car I ever got, he was the one bought it. You see. Yeah, we all have a life. And we all have our craziness. And we all have our goodness. We all have our love. And some of us don't have a clue about what love is. But let me just inform you. Love is actionable. Love is action. It's a verb. It's not just a word. And it's not just a person sitting somewhere waiting to show up. That's not what love is. It's not what you say that impacts a person's life. It's what you do. And for a child, I can even say it's what you don't do. Everybody on here, boy, they met with some children. They met with some children. That's the worst thing in the world. Here they got a record of a serial predator who I'm afraid for the people in his hometown, because I think all of this talking about it is really, really, really exciting him. The same way I felt when Kwame came in Sister T's chat and attacked her. It's exciting. They don't have the same feelings as normal human beings. And then all these people will follow in behind that. And then all these pretenders. You know, we got public pretenders. We got YouTube pretenders. Everybody now all of a sudden going to court. When I filed my case against this perverted man who can't stop talking about me, I was the worst person in the world. Not just on YouTube, in the world. Why you want to take it there? Like I told people, I don't fight like they fight. None of this is a joke to me. None of this has been funny. It's a horrible thing to have people come into your home. They got people coming to Sister T's home. Calling her on the phone. I've gotten text on my phone. Ugly things people say to you. They don't know you. And you don't know these people. So you don't know. You better be on your guard at all times. Expect the worst. And do what you have to do. They think it's a game. So they think as many times as they can say predator or whatever they're saying, that gets more people in their chat and gets them cash app. So they say some of the dumbest stuff. Armando Black, one of the greatest liars on YouTube. Lady, you're a scammer. This is just a money grab. A money grab. How you gonna grab money from a nigga that ain't got none? How you gonna do that? Oh, she's just trying to do this because I'm rich. Rich with what? Yeast? From the alcohol? I just want y'all to know this is real. And all these people talking about this is just YouTube. We're human. Oh, thank you, Sweet Pea. I love you. We're human. It's real in this world today. We really need to wake up. We're being killed by the water, by the air, by the food. And some say that's misinformation. All we have to do is look in our communities. I don't know how it is in other cities and other states, but I can tell you in Dallas, Texas, in the hood, I live in Oak Cliff, Texas, the hood. I'll leave Sci-Fi picture up there just a little longer because she's so pretty. So I'll leave her picture up there a little longer. I know everybody missed hearing her voice and seeing her face. I am honored that I no longer have to miss it. But you know, in Dallas, Texas, I live in the hood, in the heart of the ghetto. And I want y'all to know that when I was growing up, it wasn't until I was about 30 years old that I ever heard of anybody needing dialysis. And I came to know 3 to 4 people. But now, at 64, we have dialysis clinics just like we have liquor stores and churches in our neighborhoods. Almost on every corner, you can find a dialysis center. That ought to tell us something. That ought to tell us something. Of course, it does not. You know, they talk about me and laugh at me and want me to be dead because I smoke cigarettes. And I have a 3rd-degree heart block. I was born with it. I didn't even know it. I was smoking cigarettes since I was 12. And I've quit several times. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But they laugh and they talk about me. And, you know, you can make whatever you want your vice. And I used to just say that I love smoking. And I don't like the smell of cigarettes nor the taste. I'm addicted to the nicotine. And I can quit. I've quit several times. The longest I stayed quit was 4 years when I was pregnant with my son. I quit and stayed for 4 years. But what I came to know is that the addiction to the nicotine, I don't do much else. And I made this statement and they said I was the stupidest and the craziest person in the world. And the statement I made may be stupid and it may be crazy, but I stand by what I say. And what I say is that I don't know anything these people have taught us that was good for us, that was really good for us. And so it probably is the worst thing in the world to smoke. I don't think it's the tobacco. I think it's the chemicals in which they mix whatever they mix with whatever they do with whatever they do with the fire, resistant paper, whatever it is. I think you can name a whole lot of things. But what I can say, she said it's a $1 billion industry, family. Being on dialysis for 3 years equals to $1 million for the providers. They are making a killing on our health. Yeah, they are. And if we start learning that pretty much everything is an acronym, if you look at law, LAW, land, air, and water, and it's controlled by somebody else. Something that's given freely to us by the universe. We're being taxed and charged for it. For everybody who don't know, Phyllis is my older sister, and that's my sister that takes care of me. And these fools think when I say takes care of me, that means she wiped my ass. No, she doesn't. She don't even won't look at my ass. I do my own wiping. We live together. We grew up together. We're sisters. We both married, both divorced, both had a mother that was a maid who bought a house and left it to her children. And we live comfortable with one another. And she and my nephew takes very good care of me. She makes sure that I eat. You know, you don't know how grateful that is, because y'all, it's a hell of a thing to get to where sometimes you just don't have the strength to get up and walk. You can walk, but you don't have the strength to do it. And you know, these people laugh at me. You ought to do this and you ought to do that and you ought to stop that. And some of them dead now. Somebody that started out with us 2 years ago are dead. They not here no more. My daddy taught me if you was born to burn, you ain't gonna drown. The only thing is you don't know which way you gonna go. So you live life to the fullest. And that's what I do. Soapfly say Toothless Tiger is soiled family. And I think she meant solid. I can tell. She is well taken care of. Shout out to her sister. Yes, we had the honor and the privilege of going to Benihana's. And it was awesome. Sci-Fi is 3 times more beautiful than she looks on this screen. And she's very petite and tiny. Perfectly built. When I was the finest woman walking, I wasn't that perfectly built because I don't have a little frame. Hey, RLG. Love you to life. Yes, she's absolutely, absolutely gorgeous. Inside, y'all, she's so humble. Inside and out. But you know it's cold when you're a double whammy. Yeah. And big girl feel the same way about herself. Make no mistake about it. Boy, but when you see beauty, there's no need in playing like you don't see it. When you see somebody that's integral and honest and humble, respectful, you can't play like you don't see it. You can't let them know how you appreciate it because we're so mistreating each other. We are mistreating each other and blaming other people. But one thing I noticed in our sector, there are a lot of people that are not like us. And we know that they're European. And they're paying big money for these men to disrespect us. Big money. And not that people can't go where they want to go. You see, I'm not one of those people because I understand the dilemma of color. That's just a dividing tool. We're all human. That's what that is. It's a dividing tool. Asatar is probably the only fair-minded person that you're going to ever talk to. He is so logical. I have to tell him to stop the logic sometime. Y'all should hear me and Asatar sometime on this telephone. Asatar just being Asatar. He never changed his tone or nothing. I'll be hollering and going crazy. But I love everything that I know of him. And the one beautiful thing I can say, he loves everything he knows of me. He let me scream and holler. And I just know that's who you are, Toothless. He will tell me what he thinks. If he know or feel or think that I'm not on point. And I love that about him. I used to tell my oldest sister, Don't ever stop telling me the truth. Don't ever stop. I don't care how I get mad, how I cuss, how I cry, how whatever it is, don't ever stop. Because see, when you're alone with yourself, the truth has a way of dealing with you. But if everybody's just yesing your ass and kissing your ass, you're going to end up on your ass and by yourself. Please believe that. You need people that will allow you to be you and you allow them to be them. And as long as y'all not hurting anybody, then y'all are all right. Toothless Tiger's sister and best friend are beautiful ladies and full of wisdom. The couple we sat with knew Toothless family with good vibes. And they were Hispanic, young couple. They lived right down the street from us, and we way on the other side of town. And they went to Roosevelt High School, like my older siblings. It was awesome. I'm telling y'all, it was just a beautiful day. Just a beautiful day. Y'all don't really understand. Some of us have made some lifetime friends on here. And some of us have made some lifetime enemies. But trust me, those enemies, that's the enemy inside of them. And they can't accept the brilliance of who you are. So they would rather try to tear you down and put you down and get the crowd to go along with them. But I've never been a crowd pleaser. I'm never that one. Never that one. Never. No matter how good you are, no matter what you do for people, if you don't do it because it's purposed in your heart to do, I'm going to tell you, you're doing it for the wrong reason. A lot of people say if you're not on this app for money, then you don't need to be on this app. I think that's a bad way to look at it, because most of those people that make those statements, you can tell they're willing to do anything for money. And anything lasts for so long. And you don't make enough money to help you sleep at night. I don't care who you are. If what you do is by ill intent, you're not sleeping good. It ain't enough money to give you peace of mind. Good night. Stop by. Have a beautiful one. Yeah, if what you're doing don't give you peace of mind, and I guarantee you that money ain't satisfying you either. It's not. What we call money, Federal Reserve notes, is a means of exchange for goods and services. That's what it is. Although you may have a mansion with 7 bathrooms, you can only use one toilet at a time. So that's something, because that's something you want, and I'm happy for you. That ain't nothing to put nobody else down. You can't use one at a time. If you got 20 whips, you can't drive but one at a time. You, the individual I'm talking about. Boss Cap, I just love you. I don't care where you see me. And I love when I see you in Gil. Sometimes that Lord, that chat be going so fast, I don't even see how you see me speak. But I can guarantee you, I see them little hearts, them little praying hands, and that little queen. I see it waving at me. I'm so Catchy, y'all don't know. Fantastic. How beautiful it is to be welcomed. Crystal, man, I love you guys by the actions you've shown toward me. Longhead, one of my first subscribers, one of my first members, one of my oldest. He and Madria, they running there neck and neck. Madria might have him beat. But that means a lot to me. And my son told me, I know how you are. Don't be going in there trying to meet these people thinking they're your friends. Everybody's not your friend. And he tried to warn me of all of the pitfalls. He didn't mean that I couldn't be friendly with nobody and nobody would be friendly with me. That's not what he meant. He just knows his mother and the heart of his mother. Amelia, hi. Thank you so much. It just means so much when you see familiar faces and you can just enjoy the content of the content creator. That means a lot to me. It kind of takes us back to kind of when we all first was together, and we may not have known each other there. We may have seen each other's name or whatever, but, you know, just when everybody was just happy and speaking and laughing, you know, and of course, that couldn't continue. We won't let it. We will sabotage our own selves. We won't let things just be. I'm not going to stay here much longer. I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about the book and about the things that's going on here on YouTube. And for me, like I said, I'm going to forever stay my course and keep moving forward. I'm taking care of my other business with the courts. And, you know, every time I get a decision and the judge denied a couple of my motions, then, you know, this character, Mondo Black, has to go and do videos and talk about I'm a this and I'm a that and I'm a whatever and whatever. And if you don't like what I'm saying, sue me. You know, people say that stuff until it happened to them. You see, I'm just the person that will do whatever I think I want to do to resolve an issue. You know, some say I'm broke. I was very disappointed in Rainey. I thought she was really, you know, being honest and forthright when she came over to Uncle Shug's and we had that opportunity to talk as women. And I guess not. That was really, you know, disheartening to hear. But she has the right to feel and think what she wants. And she said that she thought I was being disingenuous. And she has the right to believe that. A lot of these people, I don't think had heard of disingenuous until I started using it. But, you know, that's for another conversation. I am, I don't know all words, but I know quite a few because I read. And I used to be a stickler for words. Hey, Donkey Green, I love seeing you too. I tell you I do. You men really, 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 y'all touch my heart. Number one, because my son is 42. And I'll go back to crying again. But I don't know a greater young man than that one. And some of that is because I'm his mother. You know, people say, not because I'm his mother. No, that's a lie. Some of it is because I'm his mother. The other part is because he's him. He's an Aries, and he's really a true Aries. If anybody know anything about the characteristics of the zodiac, he's definitely, for real though, an Aries. And for me, as a son and a mother, he's my counterbalance. My sister say sometimes she think we get together just to see who can cuss the most, because I gave him permission to cuss at 10 years old, but he wouldn't cuss in front of me until he turned 23. And then there are some people that's 70 years old have never cussed in front of their parents, and I'm happy for those people. But see, I don't view cussing like other people view cussing. All that ma'am and that sir shit is what get me. You know, I know people, you say ma'am, and they'll say with a gun up to your head, this is a robbery, ma'am, don't make it a murder. So does ma'am. really mean what we say it means. In the book that everybody say they love to read, Jesus said, let your yea be yea and your nay be nay. It was the warden at the prison and the captain or the sergeant in the military that told you to say sir and ma'am. My daddy taught us yes or no. And I won't hesitate to say ma'am or sir to someone of a certain age. I won't, because they earned that. There was a time when they had to call little children ma'am and sir. I remember that when I used to go to work with my mom, working in the homes of the European, so that we can have a living in the projects in Oak Cliff. Yeah, I've seen it all. But we have so very little respect for each other today. And then everybody demands respect, but respect can't be demanded. Just like love, it has to be given freely. You earn respect. Fantastic say, oh, I do. I gave birth to 2 Harrys. They are so competitive. Yes, you know, don't you? And he's an only child. And he used to tell people, don't watch me. Watch ESPN. He's an only child who loved being an only child. And then I had my niece for a while. I brought her home from the hospital, but he was already 10 when she came along. MSO say, yeah, I never cussed in front of my parents, nor do I let my children cuss in front of me. But I'll let grandchildren tell me if their parents cuss. Oh, MSO, my room is the cussing room. All children can cuss in my room. What they can't do is call each other names. But they can say any word they think of. And baby, they can't wait to get in this room. They can't wait. That's my only rule. You can't cuss each other. And it's they tell it. See, you wrong. You wrong for that. I'm not like the people talking about if your child smoke weed, just smoke with them. No, I don't do no stuff like that. My child don't smoke anyway. Nothing, nor drink. But I'm of the opinion, because all of the music, the cartoons, everything, and I know people use what they can against you. And so a lot of people, a lot of children, they're talking like they're friends. But they have respect and reverence for their parents. Some do. And some people will hold that over their heads. And I never wanted nobody to hold nothing over my son's head. But that's not why I gave him permission to cuss. I gave him permission to cuss because he asked me, could he cuss one day my little niece, which is his little sister, out? And I told him yes. And the cuss words he used, I laughed so hard I knew then that he could never in life tell me he didn't cuss. And then as good as I cuss, I could never in life play like he didn't cuss. Donkey said, people look at me funny when I address them in that manner. Very shocking, but they respect it. Yeah, so after he asked me that and I heard that, I told him, nah, he could never in life tell me he didn't cuss. So he was free to cuss at 10 years old. I told him, but when you out there with your friends, don't be on this side of the street hollering across the street, doing no cussing. Don't call no girl no B or no H. W if you want to spell it correctly. Because you got a mother. a little sister, which was his little cousin, grandmother, and aunties and cousins. Now, I'm not saying he don't use that word because I use it. So I'm just telling him as a young boy what I expect. But I told him, when you with your friends, you say whatever you want to say. I don't care what you say to them. Because, see, I don't want nobody using nothing that make you do something because you're so afraid that I'm going to do this to you if I found out. And I would always tell him, don't ever live your life one way with your friends and out there in them streets and come to me another way. No matter what you do, I'm your mother. And I need to know. Now, I don't need to know every detail of nothing. I don't know nothing about no girlfriend. I don't need all that kind of information. I just need honesty. Because I'm going to be there regardless. As long as I got breath in my body, you got me. And that's what that is. Now, I treat all people that same way. But people don't really appreciate kindness anymore. They don't appreciate compassion. But you can't never let nobody knock you off your square because they don't appreciate it. You just might need to move around the people you with. Don't ever stop being you to conform to what they do or what they like. Because what I know about people, the moment you change to what you think they want you to be, now they got a new idea of what they want you to be. Now you got to be happy with you. And if you learn who you are, and if you do right by people just because it's right to do right, and you were taught right, and you were treated right, and we may not have always got treated right. You know, like the doctor said, some things that happen to us, it doesn't make it all bad, but it happened nonetheless. Krista said, people said my mother had a mouth of a sailor, but I didn't cuss. Matter of fact, 2 out of 5 will cuss like no tomorrow. Yeah, my daddy had that kind of mouth, Krista. My mama didn't. My daddy did, but I couldn't wait to get grown. I'll be telling people, don't be praying for me to quit cussing. Hell, pray that you quit being two-faced and lying on people. Don't pray for me to quit cussing. I couldn't wait. I prayed to cuss. Ooh, I couldn't wait to get grown. And that might be the worst thing in the world to wait to get grown for. But for me, it was the greatest. I couldn't wait to sound like my daddy. Mm-hmm. It's funny what, moves us, what makes us who we are. Donkey Green said, I've been around the world once and shook everybody's hand twice. I don't know everything, but I can share what I know. Maybe they can add it to what they doing in a good way. That's it, Donkey. That's what it's all about. Hokey pokey. I don't understand why people don't get that. We're greater together than we are apart. We all don't have to do the same thing. We all have different talents, different gifts. But if you go into your YouTube studio as a content creator, and if anybody is a content creator and I don't know that they're a content creator and they support me, please let me know so I can go and subscribe to your channel. I ain't much, but I'm all I got. And that's a whole lot of on the for real. I thought that's what it was all about, supporting one another. But no, I soon learned, not this sector. It's about money. Ain't a damn thing funny. Got to have a con in this land of milk and honey. Don't push me, cause I'm close to the edge. I'm trying not to lose my head. It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep them going over. And I think I'm supposed to be going under, not over. You know, really, it's really, 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 really sad. As a people, we have no respect. Yeah, thank you, Maria. I'm subscribed to Shan. I'm subscribed, and I watched her out there on the great day that they had to walk for the pro-lifers. I didn't even know they had such a walk, but it's all over America on that date. I don't remember the date, but I was right there with her while she was standing over the freeway and giving me a dizzy spell as those cars were zooming under the bridge that they were standing over. I told her she got more nerves. She got nerves of steel. I couldn't have been in the middle of that bridge for nothing. I'd have been hyperventilating and swearing I'm going to fall. I probably would have fell over the bridge talking about I'm going to fall over the bridge. Shan was right there with her little old banner, baby. And she was the only one that looked like us. And the people were fascinated with her. They couldn't believe she was just out there because that's what she believed in. They couldn't believe it. But I did. You see, we mothers do a whole lot of stuff. That's who we are. We make things happen. Donkey said, due to the ignorance of some of our people, they refuse to be enlightened by their own people or even call on the ancestors for guidance. Tell the truth, Donkey. Upon having to make decisions, this life thing can be tricky. You're awesome, Donkey. That is so true. I didn't learn about calling upon the ancestors, and if y'all realize it, we're the only group of people that don't really honor our ancestors. We don't talk about our grandparents and their parents before them and their parents. But we weren't trained to do that. And when we look at how we were taught, it's just a training. And it's just enough to be productive. And then, you try to share truth with people, and then they'll flag your page talking about false information. It's nothing to do with false information. I have the Black's Law Dictionary and this book, Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, that I give away to anybody who email me and ask for it. I used to have it on my ticker tape, but since I have membership, I don't. I used to ask people to be members, and I don't even promote that much. When I got into this lawsuit that I'm involved in, I didn't have much time to do members. But I do give away massages once a month. And if anybody would write in the comments that they have a massage envy in their town, I give away a massage once a month because I can only give away one a month. But I give them away because I pay for them and I have so many. And I barely leave home now. I would love to stop paying, but if I stopped, I would lose all of my massages that I have. And I paid a pretty penny for them. So I give them away. And I've been able to give away 6 so far. So our people don't even receive gifts well. And then I heard a man over there bragging about in 6 month time, last year, I gave away $2,000 a month. That was when Mr. Arenas gave him the money that Sister T turned down. And he gave out refurbished tablets and games. Didn't even spend the money wisely. Hasn't given out anything since. Got to start acknowledging them. We're standing on their shoulders of greatness. Pay homage, good people. You're right about it. You're right about it. Yeah, Crystal, I give them away once a month. So all I need to know if you have a massage envy in your town, and if you want a massage, you can just contact me through my email. No cost to you. All you have to do is show up. Maria had one, and she thoroughly enjoyed it. I do what I can when I can. I love the fact that you guys come and give me your time. I started out with 3 people, didn't think I was going to get nobody. But I have a faithful few that's here with me every Wednesday and every Sunday that I show up. Maria is definitely one of them. Longhead don't always let me sing, but he's right here with me. Never missed a membership. And I'm one of those people, I really don't care where nobody go. It might hurt my feelings to see you in somebody's chat that talk very disparaging about me, but you being in there has nothing to do with me because you're here for me, and that's what matters to me. So, as humans, I just believe in acknowledging truth. And I think if you're true to yourself, again, you'll be true to everybody. And they may not like your truth, and that's fine. They can move on. Because I'm not going to ever stop being me for nobody. But when people know that you're truthful and you're not judgmental, and I'm not judgmental, but I talk about everybody I know, good, bad, or indifferent. I ain't got nowhere for nobody to go, so I ain't trying to put you down, and I don't do that. I will talk about you, though. Believe that. It's up to you. If somebody come telling you something that I said, if you know anything about me, you would know if I said it, pretty much you already know it. Because I'm guarantee you I say it to you. Some things you say you just don't want to say to that person. And that's fine. But we all do that. We're all human. It happens to every last one of us. Whether we admit it or not, I'm just one of them people that can admit it. It's just what that is. We got all kind of people in this world. I ain't no thief. They call me a scammer. I'm so far from a scammer. But that's because that's who they are. They make money off of me. Talking about me. My no teeth. I came here with no teeth. They think that's something? That is so funny to me. Somebody made a statement. I shared Sister T's video, and they made a statement in the comments. You need to do a GoFundMe to get you some teeth. Apparently, they ain't looked at my community wall. That man B-Bay said that once, and I had to put my teeth up there for him. Not only do I have a beautiful set of teeth that was $3,600, I paid $18, insurance paid the other. See, a lot of these people don't know nothing about no insurance. But I've been having insurance since I started working at the age of 19. Dental insurance I'm talking about. My teeth been gone so long, dental insurance don't even pay. They ain't got nothing to pay for. They done paid for my dentures. But like I told them, I do have teeth. And I said, fuck them teeth. And that's what I said. I got a t-shirt that says, I'm not ashamed of who I am and what I look like. I'm a bad mamma jamma. Just as big as I can be. Hey, I'm a bad mamma jamma. Yeah. And that shit don't bother me. Not what they saying. Yeah, they got me all confused with somebody else. Very common to listen to elders speak. It always a jewel if one has an ear to catch it. Yeah, I wish these youngsters really understood that. I try to encourage people, if you have any elders in your family, any, you should try to talk to them. Ask them about their lives. Ask them about your grandparents. Because we're the elders in my family now. And I'm the baby girl of all of our first cousins. My baby brother, who is 2 years younger than me, he just turned 63 in May. He's one of those people I love more than anything in life, but I think they're the craziest people in the world, and those are Geminis. I seem like everybody that I really, really have friendship, love for, pretty much all of them are Geminis. But I'm a Scorpio. But he's 63, and so in October 26th, I'll be 65. And so we're the babies of all of our first cousins. So that should tell you. The last of my mother's siblings passed about 3 years ago. And it was 14 of them. My dad was the last of his siblings to pass. And that was 15 years ago. So our aunties and uncles, they're gone. We're the aunties and uncles and the elders. Yeah, Crystal. Phyllis says insurance may help with mental challenges if they inquire about it. Yeah, Phyllis, I think it will, but I think a lot of them don't have insurance because I think a lot of people here don't have jobs. The way they're so disrespectful and the time that they spend on YouTube, it was so funny. Somebody told me I need to retire. And they don't know I've been retired for 12 years. Excuse me. I've been retired for 12 years. They told me I need to retire. These people are funny. They're so funny, but I believe that a lot of people had this topic. Sorry about that, y'all. I had to take a cough break and then I had to clear my head. I don't know if y'all know it or not, with congestive heart failure, you get a whole lot of mucus. Extra, extra, extra. And you have a cough. And I take medication for that, but I have a head cold. And so it's doubled. And I have to take medicine for the cold and my medicine. So it's very, very, very taxing on you. But Crystal, I didn't know that they had free insurance available by the government. I thought they had to pay for that insurance. I didn't know that. I know in the state of Texas, if you don't have children, we don't have any free insurance for you. So if they have some new insurance that they can get, they need to be trying to get it. For real though. But you know, most people that need help don't acknowledge it. And they certainly can't accept it. Y'all gotta stop because y'all make me cough when I laugh. Finish talking about, oh, my chatting doesn't provide insurance. No, the chatting doesn't do it. That's why they laugh and talk about us. They say we're doing it for free. We're not making money. No, but if people really do need to check it out if they do have free insurance. They need to really, it's no shame in getting help. Help is available. And just the way these people have done with this actual predator, and now everybody's excusing the behavior and pretending that there is not a conviction and this person is not registered. You know, normally you don't know people that's registered, and then maybe you do know somebody. But it's just really a sin and a shame the way these people are dismissing a real predator, but yet they're calling us predators. You know, that's now you're talking about baffling, and you know how you say nothing really, you know, shocks you anymore. Well, I can't say that because it's stuff that still shocks me. Certain people that I've seen that has co-signed on this predator, talking about he changed his paper, or they changed it, or they got it wrong, or article that's been in the paper since they were 16, and if it was wrong, you never asked them to retract it. There's something wrong with that. Newspapers retract stories all the time when they get the story wrong. The editor will just do an editor's version and let you know, on this date, we reported this story, it was incorrect, and this is the correct version. And you want me to believe that that story, that article that said that a person was arrested and they confessed to assaulting a woman, and now all of a sudden when they're asked about it, oh, I don't know nothing about that, but they remember this in grave detail. God, I never thought I'd see no stuff like that, Catchy. I never in my life. I mean, for real. It's just for real. It's disheartening because we always talking about how the people mistreat us. But how do we mistreat ourselves? What about that, y'all? How about how we mistreat each other? How we're not happy for each other? How we don't support one another? He said, ma'am, you don't get cash apps and stuff because you're boring. Nobody likes you. And he over there cash apping himself. Oh, Lord, I got to quit laughing. Oh, it's too much. Wait, these folks do not believe receipts. They are arguing. Yes, they're arguing with black and white. No, you can give them a receipt. You seen how they did me when I showed my money that I gave this man $722.33. They lied and said I didn't know how to add. Whenever you show true receipts, they raise the bar. They move the goalpost. And they call you crazy. And I've never seen so many young people, 40 years old, 41, that love talking about me, a 64-year-old woman. They think I'm the stupidest, crazy. My son needs to take my internet, take my computer. If they only knew. And my son can tell them and has told them. Cheryl does what Cheryl wants. Cheryl makes her decisions. And I'm going to always be found trying to make the right one. Sometimes I miss the mark. But I know how I want to be treated, so I'm always come with respect and treat you with kindness until you show me that ain't what you want. I'm either give you what you want or I'm just going to move around. Because I'm not a fighter. Had 3 fights and lost all 3. So I realized fighting wasn't for me. Not physically. I use weapons, a pen and paper. That's how I fight. With a pen and paper. Catchy say some of the things you hear and see on YouTube, I wouldn't believe if I didn't experience it myself. That's right, Catchy. That's for real though. You wouldn't. Ain't no way in the world. Especially this latest debacle. Nobody could have ever told me that these people would take the truth. Now, I know it's written that people take the truth and trade it for a lie. But I never ever would have thought these people, they question all government websites unless they're looking up my paperwork. Then that's got to be the right paper. And it is, because it's on the government website. But I just never seen nothing like it in my life, Catchy. I believe some of them are for real. Yep, I believe some of these people really are. Or they're the children of the father of perdition, the father of lies. I do believe in bad seeds. And I think that we ran across quite a few of them on this app. But what it goes to show us is people are the same everywhere. You know, no matter where you're from. We have all of the same type people. Because people are types. Some are constitutionally incapable of being honest. And I don't mean the American Constitution. I mean the constitution of your body, the makeup of your body. Some of them are incapable of being honest. Psychopaths are born, sociopaths are made. Same with narcissists. Donkey says black and white on paper for decades now and still refuse to believe it. Yeah, that was the thing that blew my mind, Donkey. And now all of a sudden that the truth came out, because see, this is what I don't get about people. I don't have a problem with nobody supporting whoever they want to support. You know, Charles Manson had supporters. So I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is people are defending someone who didn't tell them this is who they are. And once they found out who they were, rather than believe what they see, they're going to now take a whole fabricated story. And the story is so far-fetched that when he was proving his point, he pulled up a whole nother country's laws. And that is the state of North Carolina. Now, he committed his crimes in Connecticut and Virginia. But he pulled up the North Carolina laws and was pointing to them. See what this says here, and this says there, and this says there. And nobody, not nobody that says they support him because he didn't really touch nobody or he didn't R-word nobody or whatever they said. Stupid, whatever it is, by the way. None of these people said, why do you have North Carolina laws up there? I thought you were in Virginia and Connecticut. Nobody asked that question. They just went along with it. And then they put Damn D to work. And he was the partner with the man that I'm suing now in the lawsuit of the Unbreakable Kicks. So he's done dastardly stuff before on record, in court. And then they let him chop up and screw the story And I was really saddened by Barbara Girl Tina's response to her visit when we were all on the panel together. I thought she was a beautiful person, not in eyesight because I'd never seen her. I don't really know her. I just seen her in chats from many years when I first started. I was really disappointed in her, some of the things I heard her say. But she said from the video D made. What? And a lot of people in the chat, they're going by what D said. But this didn't happen to D. How can y'all go along with what he said? He's telling somebody else's story. An edited version of somebody else's story. And then they say, ma'am, you want to know why people don't like you? You sit over there and call names. Well, everybody call names. I'm not lying on nobody, and nor am I making fun of anybody. And I was really told in this country, you can really do that. And the rules that y'all say y'all play by on YouTube, long as you don't mention anybody, you're not their content, that's a lie. Y'all changed the rules to fit y'all. That's not true. These people talk about you, they don't care who it is. Yeah, it is fake outrage, fake support, fake truth, fake news. Yeah, when your own eyes start deceiving you, where you can trade the truth for a lie, then it's nothing nobody can say. Time will have to show you. And time has a way of showing people because they may be faced with that same problem. The only way that people can go along with that kind of behavior, it has to be prevalent in their lives. Maybe not them, maybe they have children, relatives, but it's acceptable to them because they've been accepting it all along. Yeah, nah, you can't see what you see because you don't really see that. You just saying that because somebody else said that. That's what they say. Not because you have common sense and reading comprehension. But if anybody is interested in the Henry Campbell's Law Dictionary and Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, please feel free to email me and I'll be more than happy to send it to you. My email that's strolling across here is toothlesstiger7@gmail.com, and I also have an email cyjern1026@gmail.com. Both of those are Toothless Tiger emails. And if you email me, if you're interested in the Henry Campbell's Black's Law Dictionary and Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars, it doesn't matter if you are a friend or foe. Whoever emailed me, I'll just send you that information. I started out trying to help people learn who we were and teach you the most important thing in life is to know yourself. And you do that by studying and researching. And you start researching, going back to the Constitution, the Christian Black Codes, the Casual Killing Act, the Dred Scott case, very important case. Also the William Dungy case. Very important cases in history, the 1800s. You see, the system is planning out already 100 years ahead. Most of us don't even plan for tomorrow. We're kind of like the stories, the edge of night as the world turns in search for tomorrow, being young and restless. Some think they're bold and beautiful, realizing they only have one life to live, ending up in General Hospital with the dark shadows in a town called Peyton Place. These people really think that they're in a soap opera. Maybe Love and Hip Hop, The Housewives of whomever, Growing Up Hip Hop, or the real jerks of YouTube. I don't know where a lot of people's heads are, but I know they're not in a good place. And I know there is no excuse. There's all types of content on YouTube. There used to be some funny ones here in our sector, but everybody is so busy picking sides and taking stances that has nothing to do with them as an individual. And it's nothing wrong with supporting each other and believing in one another. But when you know the truth and you deny the truth, then you're in bondage to that in which you deny. So on that note, I'm going to get ready to say goodnight to everybody. I am honored that you guys stayed with me. As always, I'm going to play one or two of my songs as I do. And I'm getting ready to leave the Tiger's Den. Have a beautiful, beautiful night. And I know I'll see some of you in the chats. Good night. See that old man over there in his chair? This old man is living in the bottle. He done quit his 9 to 5. He drink full time, and now he's living in the bottle. Well, see that old man over there in his chair? This old man got a problem, and it's a bad one. Now he done pawned off everything, his old woman wedding ring for the bottle. Well, and don't you think it's a crime when time after time people living in the bottle? These people living in the bottle, y'all. Let me take you back to my elementary school days. I didn't do nothing to these people. I didn't do nothing to these people. I didn't do nothing to these people. People. I didn't do nothing to these people. I didn't do nothing to these people. I didn't do nothing to these people. People. I didn't do anything to these people. But I'm being bullied anyway. We will stop the bullying. And it starts with me. My new hashtag, not me. It's the thuggish, ruggish cons. 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 You got Gotti, Retro 813, Black Mondo's in the house, Lady D, Jay's in the house, and Skinny, the Don.
Your face. You got to remove the excess water. Now she's coming
This
out.
is how you do it.
Thank you.
Oh, ho, ho, ho. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Everybody was YouTube fighting. Those cats were fast as lightning. In fact, it is a little bit frightening. Make sure you have expert timing. There is little skinny mister and his underboss muddy black. They be lying up front and recording you in the back. From a hit the cash app to make the haters mad. Through your super chats, they would have stolen all you had. Everybody was YouTube fighting. Ha! Those cats were fast as lightning. In fact, it was a little bit frightening. Ha! Make sure you have expert timing. YouTube fighting. Hands and feet, fast as lightning. Oh, ho, ho. Oh, ho, ho. You can't beat skinny giving, no matter how hard you try. He'll keep on messing up, do or die. He has minions in the chat that told me what he's doing. You keep on dodging. Thank you, super hostification, 'cause you can't beat skinny giving, do or die. You can keep dodging and dodging and dodging and dodging, no matter how hard you try. But we will meet in the federal court. That ain't no lie. You can't beat skinny giving. Thank you, super hostification. You did it. Yeah, you did it. Texas in the South, Louisiana in the South, Georgia in the South, Florida in the South. Everybody do the shark boy, shark boy. Hey, shark boy, shark boy. Everybody do the shark boy, shark boy. Hey, shark boy, shark boy. I said he's sitting on the beach and playing in the sand. The people want to swim and he's snapping at their hand. I said he's sitting on the beach, they're playing in the sand. The people trying to swim and he's snapping at their hand. Do the shark boy, shark boy. Hey, shark boy, shark boy. Everybody do the shark boy, shark boy. Hey, shark boy, shark boy. I said he's sitting on the beach and playing in the sand. The people trying to swim and he's snapping with their hands. I said he's playing on the beach, sitting in the sand. People trying to swim and he's snapping at their hand. Do the short boy. Hey. So now we've been reduced to voodoo dolls. I think that's awful. But who am I? So this is what I did, sir. I told the witch doctor, I'm tired of you bullying me. I told the witch doctor, I'm me in 2003. I told the witch doctor, you need to leave me be. And the witch doctor told me, this is how you must be free. You go, ooh, ah, bing, ting, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Toot, wah, 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 ding, like a link-a-ling, ding. So, every time you make a blast, I send it back to you 100-fold. I don't believe in that stuff, and neither should you. But do what you do, and just remember, ooh, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. In remembrance of CJ, drove the hearse Cadillac. A crowd of people gathered round, all dressed in black. And as they removed his body from the car, such pain she never knew. It filled her heart. Why, oh why, I heard his mother cry. But oh Lord, it was the beginning of her. And justice for CJ. In a mother's love, you will find everything. Everything's alright. To a mother's love, you are bound. You can rest on sacred ground. You are free to dream, because she sees what you can be. I believe the children are future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. Show them all the beauty they possess inside. Give them a sense of pride to make it easier. Let the children's laughter remind us how we used to be. Everybody's searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to. I never found anyone to fulfill my needs. A lonely place to be. So I learned to depend on me. I decided long ago never to walk in anyone's shadow. If I fail, if I succeed, at least I live as I believe. No matter what they take from me, they can't take away my dignity, because the greatest love of all is happening to me. I found the greatest love of all inside of me. The greatest love of all is easy to achieve. Learning to love yourself is the greatest love of all.